What is up, everyone? Today we'll be taking a look at Chandelure in the Ultra League Halloween Cup. I think it has a lot of play in this format as it is the ultimate bug steal counter, and its coverage with Flame Charge and Shadow Ball is basically unresisted by everything meta. It does struggle pretty hard versus dark types, other ghosts, and water such as Jellicent and Tapu Fini though, which is why we got Shadow Drapion in the lead. And then for some bulk and to counter Nidoqueen, we got Giratina in the middle. This team definitely has its issues, especially with opposing dark poison, so if you were to run this squad for yourself, would definitely suggest you run Genesect instead of Giratina. Even with the Giratina team still worked fine though, and it was quite a lot of fun, so let's just head into these battles. First game I face a Tapu Fini, which is not a bad lead for Drapion, so my opponent switches out into Scizor and they get met with some Incinerates. Look at how much damage these are doing. I have to shield with Night Slash though, because this would knock out Chandelure. Chandelure is quite squishy, so we're now shields down, which isn't great, and this Fini will also be able to farm me down, which is also not cool. But I have so much loaded energy, I should be able to get a couple Shadow Balls off here. I am running Shadow Ball by the way, and not Poltergeist. I think Shadow Ball is just a little more consistent than Poltergeist. My opponent's gonna throw the Surf here right before my next Shadow Ball. Very good energy management by my opponent there. I will just respond with my Drapion here. Gonna throw the Crunch right on the CMP tie here on this next Surf. Should knock him out. They're deep into the red. Or take a shield. Actually knocks him out. They let it go. They trust their Genesect to sweep the rest of the game. Which, honestly, this was a chill drive Genesect. Might be possible, but they're actually running Shock Drive. You can see that by the little yellow disc on their, like the back of their head, basically. This is Shock Techno Blast. That was fine with me. At this point, I just want to sweep this with Giratina. Now, Giratina without Shadow Claw or Shadow Sneak doesn't have an amazing matchup here. With Dragon Breath, you're doing resisted damage. But as you can see, they're still adding up quite a bit. And since they don't have a chill drive, I don't really have to worry about this charge move. I'm just going to let it go. Just a Magnum Bomb. In a second, should knock me out. Unless these Fury Cutters add up enough. And looking at how much HP they're dealing, this might come out to be a very close game. We're going to throw his Ancient Power here. It is neutral and Genesect is kind of squishy, so it should do a solid amount, but it doesn't knock him out. They get to another Magnum Bomb. Is this enough to take out my Giratina? It's barely not enough, and we Dragon Breath it down. GG's. Next match, we face a Shadow Scizor, which is definitely not where I want to see it. I would love to get my Chandelure on this thing, but I'm also glad it's not on my Giratina, because that is not a great matchup. My Drapion is actually kind of fine here. Even if they throw an Iron Head here, I think I should be able to survive and get to another Crunch. Yes, do Iron Head, I survive, do get to another Crunch, but I actually catch it on their own Drapion, which is super fine with me, because I really need this chip in order to take care of this Drapion with my Giratina, which has now become my best Drapion answer, which is kind of awkward. Because Giratina is definitely not a great Drapion answer. With Dragon Breath though, if shields are up, Giratina does very, very fine there. Anyway, I also got a defense drop earlier, which really helps me out here, as I'll be able to farm down this Drapion right before they get to the Crunch, which is just huge. They're probably gonna bring in the Scizor here. They do. And they're probably gonna throw their Night Slash right before the Ancient Power. At this point, I'm just gonna hope Chandelure can sweep. So I bring in the Chandelure, and it's a Golisopod, which is crazy. It's Shadow Claw too. They're adding up. They're really adding up. I'm just going to go straight for the nuke, hoping they let it go. And they do, expecting the Flame Charge. That almost knocked them out. I will just have to shield this move, and then we should be able to farm down the whole team. Comes Scizor. 1 Incinerate. 2 Incinerate. Bye-bye. GG's. Another Tapu Fini lead. Pretty good for Drapion. We're just gonna stay in. And in comes an Overqwil, which is not great. That is far from great, because I kind of have to stay in here. But how am I gonna deal with the Tapu Fini if I let my Drapion get too low is the problem. So I've gotta switch out of this matchup eventually. And I decided to just try to catch an Overqwil. I do catch a mover. I don't think this is gonna be a Shadow Ball. And it wasn't. It's just an Overqwil. So really nice catch by me. Now I should be able to reach the Dragon Claw before their Shadow Ball. I do. Let this go. Knocks him out. Does knock him out. Get switch. Giratina still very healthy. Should be able to put in some work versus Fini. And then I just gotta hope that whatever's in my back, in their back, my Chandelure can deal with. But at this point, I'm not feeling too confident. I honestly think it's another Dark Poison. Why would you run Overqwil when there's also like Drapion, Skuntank, Alolan Muk to use, right? So that is kind of what I'm expecting. And it does appear to be a Skuntank, which is actually not bad for Chandelure at all. Because they don't get to the charge moves as quickly as like a Drapion does. And the poison jabs are resisted, so it's not too bad. The only problem here is that, honestly, they can just let Skuntank go and farm me all the way down with Finny now. That's the problem. I still get to a move here, though. Let's go for the Flame Charge. If I can get a shield or two here, that would be great. If I can do some damage with another Flame Charge, it'd be awesome too, but unfortunately, I don't reach it. They are now in a range where Sludge Bomb will definitely one-shot them, though. I'm gonna shield this move because the Surf would knock me out, and now I'm gonna go for a bait. I know they're gonna outpace me to double Sludge Bomb. Like, they're gonna get to a Surf before I can get to 2 Sludges, so I go for the Crunch. And unfortunately, my opponent calls the bait. And I go for the Sludge anyway, just to show him I had it. And as you can see, that was actually necessary, as they got to the move right there. If I would have thrown Sludge and they would have shielded, I would have lost that game, as they would have gotten to the Surf before my next Sludge. So it was a 50-50 call right there, and unfortunately, my opponent called right. Next match, Crobat lead is not too bad for Drapion. Honestly, Drapion is really the ultimate lead in this meta. Probably the ultimate Pokemon. There's just almost nothing that can really wall this thing at all. Definitely not Wheezing. Definitely not Wheezing. In fact, we kind of wall Wheezing with Chandelure. Chandelure can resist everything Wheezing has to throw. So just let it go. But as you can see, it does do quite a bit of damage. And I'm gonna get to another move here. I could have thrown the Shadow Ball immediately, but honestly, I wasn't confident it would kill anyway. So I decided to just throw another Incinerate and then just overfarm to 100 energy. At this point, I undercharge a little bit, hoping it wouldn't knock out, but it does knock him out. I also didn't go for the Flame Charge there, as I wasn't sure if Flame Charge plus Incinerates would knock him out before they got to another move. So I just opted to go for the safe move with the Shadow Ball instead. Now in comes an Incineroar, which resists everything. I had the Shadow Ball right there, which I definitely should have thrown, but they shield anyway, so it didn't really matter. At this point, I'm just gonna respond with Giratina. I know I can take a Dark Pulse. It doesn't really do that much from Incineroar, only like 50%. At this point, I kind of have to save the shield for the Crobat, which is at a Shadow Ball right now, which will do more than the Dark Pulse. So shield this up. And now I should be able to fully farm down the Crobat and have 2 moves loaded for the Incineroar. I'm just gonna go straight for Dragon Claw. I know they're probably not gonna shield because their only win condition now is like trying to call bait. But this is fine with me. It's just a safe play. At the very least, I get enough chipped where I can farm down. And that is another GG's. Next up, we see another Tapu Fini lead. Well, I didn't realize I faced this many, but they were out everywhere. And Drapion is loving it, but the problem with Tapu Fini lead is that it's usually like a Drapion in the back, and well, my backline doesn't really deal that well with Drapion, so I kind of have to preserve my Drapion, but I also can't, since I'm definitely not switching in Giratina at this point. I'm just gonna go straight for Sludge. Honestly, seeing they stayed in, I was really hoping they'd no-shield my Sludge, since there's a lot of Drapion that are running Aqua Tail Crunch, which means Fini wouldn't really have to worry about the charge moves. Yeah, my opponent definitely expected Sludge, so they shoot up. Just gonna throw my Sludge immediately. I could have overfarmed there a little bit. They weren't at the Surf just yet, but I wanted to get rid of this Fini. I didn't want them to switch out, so I decided that was the best play. In comes a Crobat. Like I said, I kind of wanted to save my Drapion here, but I couldn't. I couldn't before doing some chip to this Crobat here. So I do a Crunch, then switch in my Giratina. Take the Shadow Ball, doesn't really do that much coming from a regular Crobat. In comes the Drapion right now, as expected. Just a regular Drapion though, which is actually worse for me. If it was Shadow, my moves would do more, and you know, it doesn't really matter. I was already in Crunch range anyway, Shadow or not, so this does make it a little harder. The problem here as well is Chandelure cannot take a single Crunch, so I'm actually going to try to catch a move here. I'm expecting them to want to throw at 7 in the middle of my 3rd Incinerate, so I'm going to do 2 Incinerates, wait 2 Poison Stings, catch the Crunch onto my Drapion. Now, if I can get the Flame Charge off before they reach another Crunch, I should be fine, but they had overfarmed so much that they just get to another crunch here. And whilst it doesn't kill, I don't have enough health to take out the Crobat in the back anymore. So it was game over. GG's right there. Runeriga's lead is pretty good for Drapion. In comes their own Drapion though, which is kind of awkward. I'm forced to stay in here as my own Drapion. It's my best Drapion answer. However, that does put me in a pretty awkward position as Runeriga's is kind of bad for both of my Pokemon in the back. So we're not looking amazing here, but as long as I can get switch advantage and maybe shields down and save a little bit of my Drapion, I should be looking kind of fine. We both have fired a crunch now. Neither of us have gotten a defense fall. I just did though on the second crunch, which is pretty nice. That means my third crunch will knock out. Honestly, I think either way the third crunch knocks out though, so that defense fall doesn't really matter. They don't get it though, which is very nice, since now if they were to bring in something, I don't really have to worry about my defense being lowered. At this point, I don't think I want to shield this though. I'm a shield up. I think I'm fine with just farming down with Chandelure now and getting energy. This is gonna be my way around the Runeriga's. If I can farm up enough energy on my Chandelure so I can Shadow Ball the Runeriga's, I am looking kind of fine. They bring it in right now. I'm just gonna go straight for the Shadow Ball. I could have probably baited here, but I didn't want to risk it. I know even if they shield this, I should be able to reach another Shadow Ball. They will be able to reach a Centum here, which I will shield. It's definitely Centum, but even that would knock me out. So, shield it up. They try to catch a Shadow Ball on their Tentacruel, but I was patient. I didn't throw the move, so now I have it stored on my Chandelure. And now I have one simple task, and that is just get rid of this Tentacruel with my Giratina. Which, seeing as they are running Acid Spray, makes this incredibly easy. Honestly, in my opinion, if you run Tentacruel in this meta, you should be running Blizzard Scald, because that gives you a ton of play versus Giratina, other dragons such as Regalgi, because you can almost one-shot them. Well, you don't one-shot Giratina, but it's close. You can actually win the zeros there as Tentacruel with Acid Spray. As you could see, there's literally zero play though. I just completely destroyed the Tentacruel. Now, Runeriga's comes back in, it's gonna throw the Dragon Claw, switch into Chandelure, throw the Shadow Ball, and this should be able to knock out the Coffin. GG's. Next up, we see another Giratina lead, which is quite good for Drapion, but they switch into their own again, which puts me in a very awkward situation once more, because I have to stay in there, so don't have a great answer for this in the back. That's why I highly recommend you run Genesect instead of Giratina on this team. Just a little better versus Dark Poisons. Still not an amazing matchup whatsoever, but once you've done a crunch and then taken one on your own Drapion, you should be pretty safe to switch in Genesect and just get switch advantage there. Now, I got a defense drop earlier. That means this Drapion is now so low that I think I should be able to switch in Giratina here. But I think I get a one-turn lag upon switching in here, and that causes me to not be able to farm this down. I think, maybe not sure, but that's a current issue. Sometimes if you're trying to switch during your charge move, it takes like a turn that it shouldn't, which is kind of unfortunate. But it is what it is still. I have a very healthy Giratina here. We are not looking too bad. In comes a Skuntank. It's double Dark Poison again, which is very awkward. Luckily, Skuntank packs Poison Jab though, which means they aren't doing that much damage to the fast move. I'm actually going to shield the first crunch here, which is a mistake. Well, I don't think it's a mistake. It's a risky call, since they could potentially drop my defense, which they did. And that puts me in a pretty bad spot, as now they'll be able to easily just Dragon Claw my Giratina. I'm now gonna bring in my Drapion to CMP tie on their Dragon Claw here. And then I really hope that my Chandelure can get to a move versus Giratina. The reason I'm gonna become in Chandelure right now instead of my own Giratina is because I really just need to get to the Shadow Ball. And I know that if I bring in my Chandelure versus Skuntank later, the Skuntank's gonna outpace me to a move anyway. So I just have to bring this in, get to the Shadow Ball, which I'm gonna throw immediately, but unfortunately, their switch was up. That means the Shadow Ball will land on their Skuntank, which they switched in. Great play by them. And now this Giratina should just be able to knock me out with a Dragon Claw. GG's there. Again, Steam definitely has its problems with Dark Poisons, as you just saw. But it is a bit playable. That was actually a winnable game, I think. Just very hard. But if I had Genesect instead of Giratina, I think it would have been a little easier. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. For more Halloween Cup, check out my Incineroar video. See you next one. Good luck with your Bell's Trainer.